Hey guys, what is up? It's Wigwam and welcome back to another episode of games that could double as 90s cartoon TV show names. Today's special guest star is Mekazoo. When I was growing up and getting into video games at the ripe old age of 2 years old, platformers reigned king. With Mario and Sonic mascotting the two most popular consoles of the time, it's really no wonder that most games were trying to parrot their success. It seemed like the default genre at the time to make your game, which is why it's been such a shame that platformers have pretty much fallen completely off of the map. However, thanks to the indie market's love to capitalize on nostalgia, platformers have seen a bit of a revival, with games like Braid and Super Meat Boy not just bringing the genre back to life, but pushing it further than it's ever gone before. So that brings us to Mekazoo, the latest indie platformer hit to hit the Steam store 4 months ago. This review was a tad bit late. With promising vibrant visuals, bouncing music, and an interesting take on platform mechanics, does Mekazoo have what it takes to push the genre even further, or will it Mekazoo was created by Good Mood Studios and released in November of 2016. The main gameplay gimmick here is that you have 5 different cute animals that all have one special platforming move they can perform. You get 2 animals at a time, and this changes multiple times throughout the level. So the heart of the platforming mechanics here is creating synergy between your 2 playable characters. You'll also constantly come across these changing platforms that are specific to each animal that you have. So if you're the frog, it's something you can grab onto with your tongue. If you're the kangaroo, it's a platform to jump off of. Or if you're the bear, it's an even worse platform to jump off of. The special animal powers are as follows: a rolling armadillo, a frog with a tongue, a bear that can climb walls and kill everything, a pelican that can fly, and a kangaroo that makes me lose all hope in video game mechanics and life in general. Seriously, I hated this kangaroo. After many levels, I finally started to feel like I was getting the hang of them, but then I would accidentally wall jump and end up run over by a train. Playing with this switching mechanic, my initial thought was, this is a pretty cool way to give the player power-ups and keep the gameplay challenging. I think the idea here was to constantly allow the player new mechanics to use, while still keeping them from becoming overpowered. In practice, I felt like all it did was create a frustrating mess and overly complicate the simplest of tasks. To prove my point, let's take a look at the overworld. This game's overworld is a Mario 64 inspired overworld. Essentially, you have an open world and you have to platform around a basic hub world to start the level you want to play. A very cool idea that doesn't work when trying to simply get into some levels proves to be an insurmountable task. Biggest problem with this was that most of the characters simply cannot jump. That's correct, this is a platforming game where most of your playable characters don't have the ability to jump. They use their special powers to navigate around levels. Sometimes this means you would be stuck on the ground just slightly out of reach of a platform you needed. It provided a somewhat frustrating experience, especially considering the fact that there is no reason that all the powers couldn't have just been given to one playable character. Since each character only has one move, and my controller has lots of buttons that only hit the one move or switch to the other character, seems like we could have just knocked that all down into one. Luckily for Mekazoo, its excellent level design does a lot to make up for its poor gimmicky gameplay mechanics. Mekazoo features the classic video game platforming worlds: jungle, ice mountain, desert, city, bigger city. All of these are stunningly gorgeous and feature a huge variety in challenging mechanics. This game gives me hope for 3D indie graphics as well, something that I think a lot of developers are intimidated by or for some reason just don't take advantage of. But Mekazoo proves that a small man indie team can create a unique and colorful world with limited manpower. The level design itself does a lot to keep things fresh. The difficulty curve is expertly done, slowly ramping up the challenge from start to finish of the game. Each level provides multiple medals to be earned for completing certain challenges. This is a great idea and one of the biggest missed opportunities in Mekazoo. You see, every level has the same challenges for medals. You get one medal for completing the level, for beating it without dying, another for beating it within the time limit, one for killing X amount of certain enemies, and finally one for finding the secret switcher. I would have loved some variety in this aspect of the game. This would have been a great place to take a page out of Mario's book and give you different objectives based on the level. To some people, this is going to be enough to pad out a few extra hours, but I would have enjoyed challenges that change the way you play the level. For example, let's say you have this level with branching paths. One of this challenge could be to beat this level by only going across the top of the level, and then another challenge for the same level could be to go across only the bottom of the level. Two entirely different challenges that completely change one level and create two different experiences. Instead, you end up with the same boring task to do over and over and over again just to earn extra medals, which you need to sometimes get into boss battles. To me, adding this variety of gameplay really could have been the thing that took this from a game that was visually pleasing and a little fun to an absolute masterpiece. There are so many things that could have been done here that would have created challenges in a really fun way and filled the huge void of variety that this game definitely needs filling. Also, hilarious. Huge void of variety. I'll fill your huge void. Finally, I would not be fairly reviewing this game if we didn't talk about the music a little bit. It's excellent. It's probably the best part of this whole game. This game has a huge and unique soundtrack with a ton of variety. The tracks, much like the visuals, are bright and bouncing and fantastic. They really draw a strong inspiration from classic platformers like Donkey Kong Country, but put their own twist on them. It's definitely one of those soundtracks I could see myself coming back to over and over and over again. So, in conclusion, Mekazoo is a mixed bag of a game. Its strengths do a surprisingly good job of balancing out its weaknesses, but overall the lack of variety really kind of holds it back for me. If you're desperate for a new indie platformer, this is probably a great option for you. If you're looking for something innovative or new, this is probably not the game for you. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to subscribe down below. I'm going to be reviewing Seasons After Fall next, another platformer that's more of a passive platformer. We're going to be doing a bit of comparison and contrast to this game, so make sure you stick around for that. I love your beautiful faces. I have been Wigwam, and I will see you all in the next video. Adios, amig bros. Today's coffee mug was Kahlua. It doesn't contain Kahlua because I didn't have any, and that stuff's like $20 a bottle, so just coffee.